Cornerback Trayvon Diggs, like every other Cowboys fans out there, just wants to see the two parties bury their hatchets and get a deal hammered out. Perhaps Diggs putting more public pressure on the organization leads to some sort of deal getting done. Diggs tweeted out that he misses his brother and followed his tweet with a CD emoji. You don't need to be a master tea leaf reader to see what Diggs is trying to do here. Time will tell if he actually gets to see Lamb back in camp soon, or if the holdout will drag into the regular season. Hello Dallas Cowboy fans, and welcome to tonight's episode of the Big D Breakdown. I'm your host Larry Elise, and of course as always, give us a thumbs up if you like our video, hit that subscribe button down below, and let's dive into today's episode. We're going to take a look first at three Cowboy players whose stock is plummeting after the preseason opener. Time is running out for these Cowboys to prove themselves. Dallas Cowboys were finally back in action in week 1 of preseason. Dallas was locked in a close battle with the LA Rams for most of the game. Neither team could reach the end zone till the final minute, which ended up being the Rams. Despite grabbing 4 interceptions, Stetson Bennett redeemed himself, finding Miller Forrestal for the winning score in the final seconds. It is only preseason, so close last-second losses do not sting that much, if at all. However, not only did the Cowboys lose, but some players who hit the field did as well. While defensively, Mike Zimmer's defense picked off passes left and right all day, the offense led by Trey Lance for most of the day had some good, but a lot of bad. So these are three players' stock which is plummeting after this week, and some, if not all of them, could be off the roster sooner than expected. So at number 3, we got Josh Butler. The Cowboys' defensive back came to play all game with 4 interceptions, but it should have been 5. On the Rams' final drive, Bennett threw what appeared to be the game-losing interception to Emity Johnson. Unfortunately, Josh Butler was called for a defensive holding penalty that kept the drive going. The Rams drove the rest of the field for the winning touchdown. It only added more to what had already been a frustrating day for him. Butler had 5 tackles and 2 passes defended, but was picked on quite a bit in the final quarter. He got beat pretty easily on out routes that were there for Bennett to complete most of the day. While other defensive backs had their struggles despite the 4-interception day, Butler's costly penalty will surely be brought up by defensive backs coach Al Harris when the team looks at film from this game. It may only be a preseason, but a player on the edge of the roster committing a penalty that costs the team the game does not do him any favors, unless Butler shows he can be something more than possibly the 5th or 6th corner on this team with a loaded defensive backs room. His stock will continue to trend down. Number 2, Malik Davis. The Cowboys' running game is still suspect. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott will not be playing this preseason, and Sunday's game only saw Rico Dowdle have 3 carries for 14 yards. Malik Davis was given plenty of playing time, but did little to help his cause. Davis has been with Dallas for a few years and even appeared late in the regular season in 2022. But his time might be up if he cannot show more than what he did against the Rams. Davis carried the ball 8 times, the most of every back who took the field, but only managed 18 yards with 2.3 yards per carry. While the backup offensive linemen should share some of the blame, running backs need to make their own yards, and Davis failed to show any of that this past Sunday. Some believe coming into camp that he could still be the 3rd running back behind Elliott and Dowdle, but a performance like that will not keep him here much longer. While Snoop Connor and Nathaniel Pete did not impress either, Davis has more experience, and at this point of his career, he needs to catch on, or he will be looking for a new team, or even a new league. His stock is plummeting in the team's running back room heading into week 2 of the preseason. And finally, number 1, Ryan Flournoy. Ryan Flournoy entered training camp as a bit of a fan favorite. He was the team's 6th-round selection this year, but his career got off on the wrong foot. He missed the first few padded practices due to a knee injury. For a 6th-round pick looking to make an impact, that is not an ideal start. With CeeDee Lamb still holding out and no urgency from Jerry Jones to make a deal, many looked at Flournoy as one of the receivers to not only make the 53-man roster, but potentially be the 4th or 5th receiver. Flournoy's preseason debut did not help plead his case. He was targeted 3 times and caught 2 balls for 8 yards. Unfortunately, he had a bad drop pass late in the second quarter that stalled a promising drive. That was much of the story for the offense all game, as the team could manage nothing but field goals from Brandon Aubrey. Had Flournoy made the catch, it could have kept the momentum going and given Lance more confidence. That was not the end of Flournoy's bad day, however, as he fumbled the ball in the third quarter, but fortunately it went out of bounds. Overall, the late round pick has to show a lot more in these next two games to earn a spot on the team in a crowded wide receiver room. And now on to our next topic. Trayvon Diggs is clearly tired of Cowboys' CeeDee Lamb contract drama. Trayvon Diggs is speaking for all Cowboy fans. The Dallas Cowboys are not in a position right now, with CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott both in immediate need of new deals and Micah Parsons in line for a contract coming down the road. Jerry Jones needs to figure out how to keep all of his heavy hitters happy. Unfortunately, Dallas's inability to get a deal done with Lamb has made the situation toxic, as number 88 is now deciding to hold out. Things are getting ugly as Jones has publicly taken a shot at Lamb, which prompted a derisive response from the All-Pro in return. Cornerback Trayvon Diggs, like every other Cowboys fans out there, just wants to see the two parties bury their hatchets and get a deal hammered out. Perhaps Diggs putting more public pressure on the organization leads to some sort of deal getting done. Diggs tweeted out that he misses his brother and followed his tweet with a CD emoji. You don't need to be a master tea leaf reader to see what Diggs is trying to do here. Time will tell if he actually gets to see Lamb back in camp soon, or if the holdout will drag into the regular season. Production-wise, there is not argument that can be made against paying Lamb. After making first-team All-Pro and leading the NFL in receptions to go along with more than 1,700 yards through the air, Lamb is clearly a player worthy of being paid like the elite wide receiver he is. Lamb may be a victim of circumstance more than anything, as his contract squabble is coming at a time when Prescott could get a deal that makes him the highest paid player in the league, and Parsons is on the verge of becoming the richest defensive player out there. Ultimately, it serves no one to hold out. Lamb will hurt his value by taking time off. The Cowboys will be a much worse offense due to their lack of star power and thoroughly average wide receiver depth. Beating the Eagles for the division crown would be incredibly difficult without a player like Lamb in there to set the offense apart. He and Prescott put the offense on their shoulders last season. While it seems like both parties will ultimately come together on a fairly equitable solution, the Cowboys are getting to the goal with a ton of unnecessary drama and nonsense along the way. It's business as usual for Jones, and Diggs has seen enough. Let me know what your thoughts are on CeeDee Lamb and his current status with the Dallas Cowboys. And with that, we dive into our next topic. Cowboy fans are going to love the Jordan Phillips trade even more after a dust-up with Eagle fans. We would like to formally welcome the Dallas Cowboys to the 2024 offseason. It may be mid-August, but the front office has finally started to cook with gas after it spent the last 5 months watching their enemies enjoy 5-star meals while they waited for the going out of business sale to start grocery shopping. In a span of 24 hours, Dallas traded for veteran defensive tackle Jordan Phillips and signed free agent pass rusher Carl Lawson, who has been coveted by Cowboy fans all offseason. Lawson brings a needed pass rushing element in light of Sam Williams' season-ending injury. Phillips, on the other hand, is a behemoth one-tackle Mike Zimmer can deploy behind Mozzie Smith. While Lawson is a savvy pickup, nose tackle was a much bigger need than edge rusher. Before the trade, the position was in a much worse state than last season, when it was a glaring problem. Cowboy fans are over the moon about the trade. Not only did it plug the biggest hole in the roster, but Phillips brings an attitude and competitive edge that the defense oftentimes lacked under Dan Quinn. Both intangibles were on full display when Phillips' Bills played the Eagles last season. During the game, Phillips confronted one heckling Eagles fan face to face. It thankfully didn't escalate, but the tense exchange proves that Phillips is a perfect fit on the Cowboys. Phillips took to Instagram after the game to explain why he confronted the fan. The 32-year-old believes a rowdy crowd and fans are good for the game, but he claimed the fan threatened him and his family. If true, that fan shouldn't be allowed back inside Lincoln Financial Field. Believe it or not, that wasn't Phillips' only run-in with the Eagles in 2023. In an attempt to stop Philly's tush-push play in Week 12, Phillips jumped off sides and barreled over Eagles offensive lineman Cam Jurgens. The now retired Jason Kelsey called the play dirty and was adamant that Phillips should have been fined. The defensive tackle did not take kindly to that. A second-round pick in 2015, Phillips has been around for quite a while. While 7 of his 9 seasons were spent with the Bills and Dolphins, It seems he has a deep-rooted disliking for the Eagles and their fans. While no fan base is perfect, Eagles fans' reputation is the opposite of upstanding. The Cowboys and Eagles are once again expected to duke it out for the NFC East crown this season. Those games always have plenty of juice, but Phillips' arrival will add an extra coating of intensity to the rivalry. He was destined to end up in Dallas one way or another. And now on to our next topic. The Cowboys won't get a better opportunity to trade Trey Lance after a major quarterback injury. It's hard to believe, but Dak Prescott now has even more leverage over the Dallas Cowboys after the first week of preseason. Sure, it's only one game, but Trey Lance did nothing to suggest he can take over the reins if the Cowboys were to move on from Prescott. Entering the final year of his contract, Prescott will eventually become the first quarterback in NFL history to make $60 million per year. Lance, developing into a starting caliber quarterback, would complicate Prescott's negotiation, but he hardly resembled a backup last Sunday against the LA Rams. It's hard to envision Lance sticking around in Dallas beyond this season. The front office may be reluctant to cut bait with the 24-year-old if Prescott doesn't sign an extension before week 1. Assuming they are true to their word and are committed to Dak, they have every reason to trade Lance if a buyer comes to the forefront. Well, it just might be the Cowboys' lucky day. Over the weekend, Vikings rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy suffered a torn meniscus in his preseason debut and will undergo surgery. Doctors were initially weighing whether to trim the meniscus, which would allow McCarthy to return in less than 2 months, or do a full repair, which would knock him out for the entire season. In a devastating development, McCarthy underwent a full meniscus repair Wednesday morning and will miss the entire season, per NFL Media's Ian Rappaport. McCarthy wasn't expected to start week 1. Sam Darnold has taken nearly all of the first-team reps in training camp and started Saturday's game. However, this is a devastating blow to the Vikings. Behind Darnold, who's yet to play a full NFL season himself due to injury, Minnesota has journeyman Nick Mullins and 2023 first-round pick Jaren Hall. It would seriously behoove the Vikings to make a move at quarterback now. The league hasn't shown much interest in Lance after he flamed out with the 49ers, but Minnesota reportedly kicked the tires on trading for the former number 3 overall pick last year after Kirk Cousins torn his Achilles. That same regime is in place, so perhaps they view Lance as a possible contingency plan. While Lance displayed pedestrian vision and accuracy on Sunday, he showed flashes that resemble the player the 49ers traded at King's ransom to trade up and draft in 2021. It's a long shot at best that the Vikings come calling again for Lance, and the Cowboys may be reluctant to accept defeat on last year's trade. However, McCarthy's unfortunate injury has at least carved a path for Dallas to recoup some value for the third-year quarterback. Let me know in the comment section below, do you think it's time to trade Trey Lance away? And should they trade to Minnesota? Let me know. Now on to our next topic. The Cowboys are following the Giants trade by signing a pass rusher fans have been begging for. Carl Lawson is finally a Cowboy. With just 2 weeks left in preseason, the Dallas Cowboys have been cutting it close to bolster their defensive line before week 1. Never comfortable working on a deadline though, the front office has done brilliant work to give Mike Zimmer the necessary talent and depth to flourish this season. Late Wednesday night, the Cowboys acquired veteran nose tackle Jordan Phillips from the Giants in a rare interdivision trade. Phillips brings a needed bowling attitude to Dallas, as well as a handsome resume. In 62 career starts, the former second-round pick has 24 sacks, 36 tackles for loss, and 51 quarterback hits. While Phillips was signed to play the one tech behind starter Mazi Smith, he also has some pass rush upside. With nose tackle out of the way, the Cowboys quickly pivoted to round out their defensive end rotation by signing fan darling Carl Lawson early Thursday. Lawson had the perfect reaction on social media once the news broke. In less than 24 hours, the Cowboys have transformed their defensive line, and they did it with moves that fans have been clamoring for. Surely extensions for Lamb and Prescott are right around the corner, right? In all seriousness, Phillips and Lawson are great additions for Zimmer. The Cowboys' defensive end depth was in dire straits after third-year pro Sam Williams suffered a season-ending knee injury in practice. Dallas quickly signed Shaka Toney and Al-Qadim Muhammad, but Toney suffered a groin injury and was waived on Wednesday. On paper, Lawson is a terrific complement to standout rookie Marshawn Kneeland, who's stout against the run but is still developing as a pass rusher. Lawson's calling card is getting after the quarterback. In 31 career starts, Lawson has 27 sacks, 28 tackles for loss, and 107 quarterback hits. Lawson's career has been derailed by injuries, so health is a big question mark. He burst on this scene with 8.5 sacks as a rookie, but has played just 58 of a possible 98 games in 5 seasons since. He suffered a torn ACL in college, and a torn Achilles cost him the entire 2021 season after he inked a big money deal with the Jets in free agency. Lawson played just 6 games with the Jets last season, but he was healthy for most of it. After recovering from a back injury, the former first-round pick struggled to get playing time on a loaded defensive front. However, he was highly productive in 2022 with 7 sacks, 24 quarterback hits, 49 pressures, and a 72.8 pass rusher grade, just 58% of the snaps. Rest assured, Lawson is motivated to stick it to his former team after he rode the bench last year. He landed in a great spot to bounce back under Zimmer. And finally, our next topic, the Cowboys have done Mike Zimmer a huge favor in a no-brainer trade with the Giants. The Cowboys front office deserves credit for this one. The Dallas Cowboys roster is in excellent shape as we enter the second week of preseason. Like most teams, though, it's far from perfect. Mike Zimmer has already made a seismic impact on the defense, but he can only do so much with the talent at his disposal. Having said that, the front office deserves credit for retooling the linebacker position, and also added fresh blood in the secondary with 5th-round gem Kalen Carson. Furthermore, Micah Parsons compared 2nd-round pick Marshawn Nealon to 8-time Pro Bowler and 2010's All-Decade team member Cameron Jordan. These are great signs for the current iteration of the Cowboys as well as the future. Despite that, Cowboy fans couldn't help but temper expectations for the defense due to the state of the nose tackle position. It was expected that Dallas would find their new NT in the roster cuts fallout. In a shocking turn of events, the front office was proactive and went out and traded for veteran Jordan Phillips from the Giants late Wednesday night. Per reports, the Cowboys acquired Phillips in a 2026 7th-round pick, in exchange for a 2026 conditional 6th-round pick. At face value, this is a great trade for Dallas and Zimmer. A 2nd-round pick in 2015, Phillips started 62 games in his career. At a towering 6'6" and 341 pounds, Phillips gives the Cowboys much-needed help at one tech. He started 9 games last season for a good Bills team. He was a big reason Dallas's offense couldn't get anything going in the 31-10 blowout loss in Buffalo late in the season. At the end of the day, Phillips has been a good rotational player for a while. The 32-year-old has played at least 40% of his team's defensive snaps in 8 of 9 seasons. He's a serviceable backup for 2023 first-round pick Mozzie Smith, and he has some pass rush upside to boot. Health has always been a big concern with Phillips, however. He hasn't played a full season since 2019 and has played 44 of a possible 66 games in the last 4 seasons. That is certainly something to watch, but the Cowboys deserve a lot of credit here. They traded what amounts to pocket change in draft pick terms for a player that fills a massive hole, arguably the biggest hole on the roster. And before we go, we'd like to mention our affiliate of the week, and that is Game Time. Calling all Dallas Cowboy fans, if you're ready to witness every touchdown, every big play, and every nail-biting finish live, you need to check out Game Time, the best way to score last-minute tickets to any Cowboys game this season. Whether you're looking to experience the electric atmosphere at AT&T Stadium or catch a critical road game, Game Time has you covered with unbeatable prices and a super simple, user-friendly app. No more stressing about missing out or overpaying. Game Time lets you grab seats at the best possible deals, even when you're booking last minute. The app even lets you preview your seats views before you buy, so you know exactly what kind of action you're getting. And did I mention the flash deals? You can snag great tickets at prices that'll have you doing your own touchdown dance. Don't miss out on the Cowboys dominating the NFC East this season, whether it's catching Dak drop dimes, CD's acrobatic catches, or Micah Parsons' game-changing sacks. Game Time is your one-stop shop for unforgettable Cowboy moments. Download Game Time today. Use the link in the description. The game starts now, Cowboys Nation. Make sure you're there to witness it live with Game Time. And with that, we'd like to thank you so much for watching and listening. And of course, give us a thumbs up if you like our video. Hit that subscribe button down below. And if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thebigd. That's buymeacoffee.com/thebigd. Not TT Rangers, which it shows. But you can donate $1, $5, $10, $25, $50, or even $100. Everything you give goes right back into the channel, helps us upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, be able to pay them, and hopefully take this show on the road. We'd definitely love to possibly do an episode from TNT Stadium or even a road game. And with your support, we can make that happen. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll catch you next time. Go Cowboys.